part of the Boundless Audio Podcast Network.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Artist Pivot Podcast. I am your host, Ayana Major Bey, and I happen to be an actor, voiceover artist, mentor, and world traveler. This is a bi-weekly show featuring conversations about pivots and life lessons from the perspective of artists, those who work in and around the arts, and arts educators. Everyone possesses the ability to pivot. You just have to be reminded sometimes, and that is what I am here to do. To stay up to date and in the know about merchandise, exclusive content, and how to support the show, please subscribe to the newsletter at ayanabey.com/podcast. That's AYANABEY.com/podcast. And there is a link in the show notes. We'll get to this week's episode after a word from our sponsors. I have found that therapy is a tool to use to improve your life in one of the healthiest ways. For those who are working on their mental health and well-being, on a journey of facing your fears, or trying therapy for the first time, our show sponsor BetterHelp is here to help you. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/artistpivot. That's betterhelp.com/artistpivot. We Audition is the video chat community where actors can audition, self-tape, rehearse, and get expert industry advice. Get instant self-tape readers through video chat, browse through the dedicated actor meditations, podcasts, and books, meet casting directors in the virtual green room, and also make money by becoming a reader for other actors. If you join We Audition and use code PIVOT, you will receive a 25% discount on your membership. Yes, that's right. We Audition and the Artist Pivot have partnered to bring you this discount. From my own experience, I love being a reader for other actors, and We Audition is so convenient for me when I need a reader myself. Again, if you join We Audition and use the code PIVOT, you will receive 25% off your membership. Link in the show notes. Y'all, today on the podcast, I am so excited to say that joining me is Miss Simone Serra. And Simone is a voiceover artist and coach who has cultivated a successful voiceover career over the last 5 years, having her voice streamed on all media platforms from Spotify to TikTok. With an extensive resume of working with clients from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Nutella, Domino's, and Ulta Beauty, she attributes her accomplishments and success to the many years she dedicated to her education and training. She received her bachelor's degree in theater studies at Montclair State University, followed by completing a 2-year conservatory training at the Maggie Flanagan Studio, which specializes in the Meisner technique. Soon, she will add adjunct professor to her resume and begin teaching a beginner voiceover workshop at Tisch School of Drama this fall. Her pivot into the voiceover world and the following successes have given her the confidence to reverse course and begin to pursue acting on stage and film again. Y'all, welcome, Simone.
Hey, Ayana. I also, by the way, have to say, you were a fellow VO actor because you said Nutella. And when I had that job, I kept on saying Nutella. And they kept on saying, Simone, it's Nutella. So that's how I know I'm talking to another VO actor.
Yes. Oh, I love that. They do get us on pronunciation, though. They do.
They do. That whole intro when I was like, Nutella.
Nutella. Thank you for sending me those Nutella vibes.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes. I've gotten that. Mine has been organization. I did a job. And like the director was like, okay, you said organization. Can you say organize it? I was like, oh Lord, okay.
I know, but then there is a way because it does sometimes the way you say it, you are actually, it's taking longer to get the word out. Right. Yeah. And so, for me, it was the other day, it was productivity. And they're like, you could just say productivity. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like,
yes. And then start overthinking it. Then you start overthinking when they correct you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting it wrong. I'm getting it wrong again.
Always. I'm like, I'm sorry. And then they're like, why did we hire her? We're like, we made a mistake every time. Whenever I sign onto a job, I'm like, oh God, they're gonna know that they made a mistake. They made a mistake. That's always that can still be in my brain even to this day.
Right. Yes. No, same with me. You start like, our inner critic is like, oh gosh, they think I'm terrible. Da-da-da. But I had someone, the director the other day was like, you're doing great. Like every time she corrected me, she just want to be like, I also want you to know you're doing great.
Oh,
I'm just correcting this for you. And I was like, thank you.
I know we need validation and reassurance, please, because
Right.
I will do that. And it's always easier when you're behind the microphone too, where, you'll do a take and the same thing. This happened to me the other day. I was telling you before we started recording, I was sick and my voice was just so gone. Not in the register that I normally am. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a disaster. And so when you're behind a mic, and nobody can see you, and then you do the take and you roll your eyes and you're like, oh my God, that was trash. And then they go, wow, oh yeah, I like that one. You're like, what? Excuse me?
Simone, I thought I was the only one who did that because I would do it and I'd be like, that was terrible. And they'd be like, that was perfect. What? But nobody can see me. I'm in here by myself and I'm like, and I'm making a face at them like, that was perfect. Oh, well, come on, let's go to the next phrase.
Well, good. Yeah, I thought so too. All right. Yeah, moving on. No, every time. That's why also my auditions sometimes take so long because I'm like, nope, again.
Yeah.
That's also the perfectionism that then, that we're recovering. We're a recovering
perfectionist.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now I heard someone say I'm an excellentist. How do they pronounce it? But like excellence instead of perfection, I'm going with excellence.
Oh, I'm gonna
it gives a little room for a little bit like, oh, please go ahead and have it. Gives a little room for like, oh, I can misstep a little bit, but it's still excellent.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
Something. How did they? I have to go back and see how they pronounced it. But yes, like instead of perfection, it's excellence.
I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket now. Oh, good.
You're striving for excellence, not perfection.
Always. That's right. That's right.
Not a thing.
I know, man. That's the killer. Still, right? And that's like working at that every day. Every time I'm in the booth, every single time. It's a muscle. That's also a muscle that you have to work out, right?
Yes, it is. It 100% is. It really, really is. So it's it is a muscle. And like, I know we've just gotten into a little bit of banter, but I still have to ask you my favorite question, my little opening question to everybody.
Yes.
So if I texted you right now and said, Simone, how are you? How you doing? How you feeling? What's going on? But you could only respond in emojis only. Ooh. What would you text me?
Oh my God. Well, it's my favorite, but it is because this is how I feel most of the time. You know, that sort of squiggly, like, do I send it to you now so that you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
It's that face that sort of is like,
yes, a smiley. So it's like a little blush. And then, the mouth is like, blah, blah, blah.
The mouth is kind of squiggled a little.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm okay. I think I'm good. I think I'm great. But, stuff's happening and moving and shaking and it's good. But also like, I'm just trying to hold on for dear life and be like, I'm on this ride. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to go with the flow. But I'm pushing. I'm just one step in front of the other. That's how I'm doing right now.
Yes. I'll take that. Thank you for that imaginary text. I mean, you can text it to me in real life. Like I'll accept it. But thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I send you that text or I send you a text or a message, when I give you that emoji, you're going to be like, okay, Simone, what's going on?
Right. Exactly. I'll be like, you want to talk about it? Do you need a coffee? Should I bring you a cupcake? Like what do we need?
Always. Don't listen, you want to open that door? I will cry you a river. I will go on and on and on and on and on.
Yes.
But that's the emoji. That's my favorite. That's my favorite emoji. But that is, or maybe the upside down smiling face. That one too.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That's
Okay, got
probably
it.
a more easier descriptive one that people, whoever are listening, can understand.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I understand that. Okay. Thank you for that text.
Thank you.
I just love,
I
you're
love that
welcome.
question.
I love that question because it gets you, first everybody's off guard. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I just asked you that. And then it's like, oh, wait, how would I describe my current state in emojis?
I love it. What about you?
Oh, girl, I would text you because this fan, it's hot in here, y'all, today. See, when the video come out, you'll see the fan. It's hot. So I'd probably text you the water drop. I would text you, isn't there one, there's a face that has like the drop also by its forehead, right? It's like smiling, but then it got the little drop. I text you that.
Yeah.
I would
or the red face.
I'll probably text you the red face.
With that, with the tongue out and the drop.
Yes. I'd probably text you. I don't think there's an actual fan emoji, but I'd text you probably the wind emoji for the fan. And then I'd probably text you if I'm happy. I'm very happy. I'm very joyful. I'm just hot in this booth closet thing I got today. I don't know what. The air conditioner is on too. Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm hot.
Right to my left, and my legs are crossed, but they're not staying still because there's just lots of, sorry again for everybody who's listening, but you probably feeling the same thing. Listen, voiceover, again, something we were talking about before, it's fun, but it ain't glamorous a lot of the time because now that everything post-pandemic times, everything is recording from home. Ayana, who is a professional, is all just like all VO professionals are also recording from their closets. You know what I mean? Like, everybody is having to do this from home. And yeah, you are sitting, you are sweating, you are working, but we love it.
We love it. We do. I do, not gonna lie, we do love it because I was definitely in my pajamas the other day doing a job. Yeah. And I was like, this is lovely. I didn't have to get ready to go to the studio.
There was one voiceover guy that when I was first starting out, I listened to that, they were talking about setting yourself up for quote unquote success. Like, so when you're stepping in the booth, so, same thing, like for your job, dress for the job you want. So then, get yourself, take a shower, put maybe a suit on. Like if you're like you're going to the office. No.
I mean, no. Let me be very clear about something. I get up in enough time to warm up, like do a full vocal warm up, like be on breath. Like I have my cup of tea, I have my throat cut, that part. Yes, I am fully on.
Yeah.
But I numerous times have been in a bathrobe and slippers.
Yes. Okay? Yes, because no, I'm the same. I like I said, the job that I was on the other night, I mean, I was a puddle. And by that point, sorry again. Well, they're not listening, but like I was in my bra and my pajama shorts because I was so hot. And those warm-ups, that you do before you get in the booth, it's also like a mental warm-up as well. You're like, I have to mentally prepare before I step into this hot box for hours.
Yes.
But I mean, listen, we got to do what we got to do.
Got to do what we got to do because we love it. We love it. And it allows us the life. We love it. We love it.
Squiggly face emoji.
I love it with 5 of those squiggly face emojis. Yes. But we will. I think we're both thankful to be in the positions we're in, but we haven't always been here. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about how you got here and the pivots that you took voluntarily and involuntarily to get to where you are now. So y'all, a little tidbit for those listening. Simone and I met at Montclair State University many moons ago.
Many moons
ago. And the young, hopeful theater majors with big dreams, with stars in our eyes, and
Big
All of
dreams.
big dreams, big dreams. We still have big dreams. They're a little different now. We still have big
That's true.
dreams, but
Yes. Yeah.
okay, Simone, take me back to like, first of all, how your career started. Like, were you a kid that knew you wanted to be an actor, or was it something that you kind of stumbled upon?
No, Ayana, it's so interesting because it's kind of this intuitive thing that happened to me that whenever I was a kid, whenever a movie would be on, um, I would watch the same movie over and over and over and over again. And I didn't know that I was doing it. But like I said, it was sort of like this sort of intuitive habit that I had, that I was just sitting and watching, and I'm studying everybody's behavior and watching the actors, and then all of a sudden learning their lines, so that then I knew everybody's line back and forth, all the characters, so that then when I would watch them the movies again and again and again, I would then stand up and then in front of the TV out to no one. So especially like, I think one of the first movies that I remember doing that too was like Back to the Future with
Uh-huh.
Michael J. Fox. And so I would play Marty McFly, and I would just be saying the lines out loud to no one in the living room and talking to Doc Brown and just acting. I just was sort of teaching myself how to be an actor almost.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so from a baby, a kid, like that was what I was doing. And then then it was kindergarten playing like Thumbelina, and then in the plays, and then I started then taking dance classes, and then moving on into high school, and discovering then musical theater. Or I always knew about musical theater, but really getting involved and loving musical theater in high school. And then it literally was just one thing sort of begets the other, and it
Mhm,
just all fell in line in a very fluid way.
mhm.
It was always instinctual. It was always intentional. It was always purposeful. It
Yeah.
always felt purposeful for me.
Yeah.
And all the way up until college, all the way up until college. And,
Mhm.
I also too, I didn't have, it's so interesting. I didn't have the best grades in school. I wasn't the best student, but I think a lot of it was just because I was like, oh, I don't really care, because I knew that this was what I wanted to do. And
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
that does not bode well with an immigrant father and, a boomer mother, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Where education and is so important. And, going into college, all of my friends, they were going to like big universities and going away to school, and I didn't have the grades for that. So I started off at a community college, and
Mhm.
I was bitter. I was bitter about it. I
Ooh.
had some sort of like um prejudice, I think, maybe about what that meant for me, or like maybe whatever I thought or prejudice I had against like community college was very ill informed and ignorant, because I was resistant to change,
Uh-huh.
and I was comparing myself a lot to people, like I said, like my
Ooh, yeah.
friends, who I felt like I wanted to be going and studying acting, and I wanted to be doing that, um, in a conservatory way, right, or
Mhm,
at least in college. But what's funny is that then I was at that community college, and I auditioned then for Crimes of the Heart while I was there,
mhm.
because I'm like, well, if I'm here, I might as well then just get involved doing something.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
then that was how I met my first mentor, and then that was how he introduced me then to summer stock, and that's how I did my
Mhm,
first summer stock show. And so I again, like, I whenever I am confronted with something new or different,
mhm,
I feel much resistance to it. And
mhm,
so from a very young age of learning that then if I have to sort of, well, shift my mindset just a little bit, or open myself up to sort of receive and say, okay, let me try this, that
mhm.
then it leads me then to then a different path, or the path that I'm always supposed to be on, right?
Ooh, yes,
Yeah,
yes. It's that the path you're supposed to be on, because I do think if we're brave enough, we'll be on the path that we're supposed to be on that was designed for us,
for
but it
sure.
is that, like, "Well, I have to try," and
Yeah.
it's the getting out of our own way of like, I don't wanna do this," but then you're like, "Okay, you know what?" You said to yourself, "Since I'm here, let me just audition for this
Yeah.
show," and then, of course, that led you down the path you were supposed to be on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so And the same thing that then once I finished my associate's degree, then it was time to transfer then to a different college. And I wanted to go to Rutgers, but they would have made me start as a freshman. I wanted to do Mason Gross. They would have made me start as a freshman all over again. They weren't going to accept any of my credits. So Montclair was 15 minutes away from my parents' house and was a state school, still just as great. And then I went to Montclair, and then that is how I'm here right now. You know what I mean? Like where I'm meeting you and meeting then all, and especially when I went to Montclair, that's where I felt like I met a community of people who I never had met so many artists or young actors who were so driven, passionate, and also really, really loved acting the same way that I did. And exactly, it was exactly where I was supposed to be. And then college was over. And, you know, it's interesting because we graduated in 2008, 2009. And, you know, the business of acting especially was very different than how it is today, right?
Yes.
And we didn't really, and they also didn't really teach us a lot about that or prepare us a lot about that. Right, exactly. No, they
not
did
at
not.
all.
No. And so I left college literally not knowing what the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? I left college not knowing, like, okay, what are the next steps? How do I even begin? Where do I get started? Oh my God, this feels so overwhelming. And when you do feel that sort of overwhelm of like, this feels like too much, this feels too hard, this, you know, you again, like can kind of then shut down, you know? And I had a couple of years after college where, you know, I didn't really kind of know what I wanted to do, but then also a friend of ours, Megan Greener, a friend of ours that we went to college with, she had told me that she started studying at an acting conservatory. And I thought, oh, well, maybe that would be a good idea. Maybe I should, and because I loved Montclair, but also we didn't have like a sort of solid foundation in terms of training a specific technique of acting, right? And I was like, I think I kind of want to rebuild my foundation from the ground up a little bit and start all over.
Yeah.
And then I did, and I went to Maggie Flanagan, and then Maggie Flanagan was a whole other transformative experience in my life where I learned really solid training about being an actor and having then, like the fundamentals of acting that then I can always fall back on to give really solid, dynamic, grounded performances. And also, again, lived in truthful reality of what I felt like. I was like, this is how I connect to acting, where I was like, this all kind of makes sense for me. And then again, like, Maggie's is over. And again, the landscape of the business always is shifting, especially like kind of our millennial, like kind of age where we are, where, you know, after you graduate or after you leave school or after you leave training, you don't just then start auditioning. You kind of have to be doing your own work, making your own content, doing these sort of things that, like I said, I was very head in the sand about. I'm like, I don't want to be a multi-hyphenate. I'm an actor only. Right?
That, Simone. But I think we had to come into being a multi-hyphenate, because unfortunately we were taught that if you're not dedicated, I'm putting in air quotes, y'all, dedicated to being an actor, that one thing, then you're not achieving.
Yeah.
You're not accomplishing. But that's not true.
No. And also too, achieving, accomplishing, successful, right? And also too, and that's also something that I really used to struggle with a lot. Like when you also have to ask yourself, like, well, what does it mean to be successful? Or when you, again, are comparing yourself to other people.
Yes.
You see all of your classmates working, you see them booking, or if they're not booking, but they also are moving and shaking, and or at least they have like a belief, right, in themselves about being like, you know what, I don't really kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it, or I'm going to give it a shot and try. And I was not like that, you know. I really instead internalized a lot of that. So again, like when I left school and when I wasn't booking things, but I was like, I just came out of this school that I had such solid training. I went to college. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I working? Why isn't this enough? You know? yeah, success is sort of this ever-changing landscape, right? It's always going to change over time.
Yes.
And you have to sort of, yeah, like ride that wave, right? And also
Mhm.
have a specific idea in your own mind and heart about what success is for you.
Yes.
Not just about your career, but also in your life in general, like what you were talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
my life, I'm not only just an actor. You know what I mean? I'm also a person. I'm a wife. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
We're all these other things. Yeah, I'm a travel lover. I love, there are other parts of me that are also outside of this identity, quote unquote, right? Um,
Yeah.
that I also have to learn and figure out that I didn't know at the time how to do, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I really didn't understand that. Like, I really didn't understand that that was also something that's very vital, especially for the longevity, or like if you're in this for the long haul, right? A
Yes.
sense of self and identity in yourself, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
mean, the pandemic, I think, forced a lot of us to do that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was like my identity was wrapped up in being an actor. I'm an actress. But no, who are you as a person? Because God forbid, what if that is stripped away, i.e., like the pandemic did for all of us? Who
yeah,
are you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who are you as a person, as a human being on this earth?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's why the Great Resignation, right? Where everyone was just like, screw this. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm not just my job. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like, I don't have this job anymore. And actually, I didn't really like that job to begin with. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
for sure, yes, pandemic for sure like made us like have to re-examine those parts of ourselves. But yeah, but as an actor, like we have to sort of do that all the time, right? Like we're
Mhm.
always having to have to check in with ourselves and be like, am I happy? Is what I'm doing working? If not, then how do I shift course, or how do I refocus? Where can I find my North Star again?
Yes.
Where is it? And
Yes.
like I said, like, there were a lot of years that I really, like I said, I was like an ostrich in the sand. I
Mhm.
dug my head in and I was like, I don't want to do, I don't want to do maybe that inner work either.
Uh-huh.
That feels also too hard. That feels too painful. That feels too like, um, to confront that. Like, I didn't understand that that's really what I needed to do first.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but also, yeah, and also resistant to these sort of ideas of what I also now have to do in terms of like how the business is also an ever shifting organism, right? Or
Mhm.
morphs constantly all the time. Like, yeah, you got to make your own content. Now you got to be an entrepreneur. Now you also have to be all of this sort of now laundry list of things. And I just was not smart about it. I just was, I didn't want to have to do all of those things.
Yeah.
Um, and so then, then by not moving, where I talked, I think a friend of mine had said this, where focus goes, energy flows, right?
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes.
And I had no focus. So no
Mhm.
energy was going anywhere. And so then I'm just stagnant.
Mm.
And then but I was still kind of holding on a little bit by a thread. I met with an accountability group of actors that I studied with at Maggie's, and we would meet every week. And in this group, a friend of mine, she had just had taken a voiceover class, and she had
Mhm.
told me about this class, and I was like, "Oh, that seems cool," or "That seems fun." And she had just had booked a My Little Pony commercial, and
Yes.
I was like, "That's awesome." But also, tell me more. I was also kind of jaded because I had taken all these pay to play classes with all these casting
Mhm.
directors that I was like, I don't want to give my money anymore to these people. Anyway, long story short, she was like, no, 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 this guy is great. He's a casting director, but he is the real deal. He's wonderful, kind, smart, and he knows what he's talking about. And so I said, again, I don't have anything to lose. I got nothing going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I took his class. It was 6 weeks long. He was phenomenal, worth his salt, worth every penny, and exactly as she said he was. And
Mhm.
I left the class thinking, well, cool, that was great. On to the next, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Didn't know what that was, but it was like, that was a fun class. And then a couple weeks after the class was over, he emailed me and he was like, hey, do you want to come in and audition for me for something? And I said,
Ooh.
oh, okay, sure. Yeah. And I went, okay. And I did. And then it ended up, and that was my first voiceover audition ever. And
Yeah.
it was down between me and another girl.
Mhm.
And they ended up going the other way. And then he was like, that's okay, but next time. And then a couple of weeks later, he emailed me again. And then I went in again and the same thing happened. It was down between me and another girl, went the other way. And then he was like, I guess, he said, do you have a demo that you can send me? And I said, yeah, sure. And a friend of mine who had worked for a streaming company, I went into their office a few years earlier because I was like, oh, well, I'm an actor. I think I'm supposed to have a voiceover demo, ? On my website, ?
Yeah.
So I made some rinky dink like demo that I had held on to and that I sent that to him. It was awful. It was too long, but I sent it to him. And then a week later, I got a call from CESD and they were a talent agency here in New York.
Wow.
And they were like, can we have a meeting with you? Roger, forwarded your demo to us. And I said, sure. And I just was going in being like, I don't want to embarrass him. I don't want to let him down.
Yeah.
I also do, Ayana, by the way, I was also kind of far removed at this point. Like I was sort of not really acting anymore, trying to figure out what I was doing. So I didn't really kind of understand the magnitude also, by the way,
of the moment.
Of the moment. However, I say this, again, to actors who are listening, this is like, do your research, obviously, you know what I mean? Before you're about to go into a meeting with somebody, that is important. But I think what helped me, and especially also with that class too, is that I didn't have any expectations. I had no expectations.
There you go.
And because I had no expectations, right, then that offered me the freedom to then just be myself.
Yeah.
And also it opened me up, right? And made space for me then to receive. Right? But again, I didn't know any of that. Now I can look back at it now and go, oh, that's exactly what was happening. But at the time I was like, whatever, I don't really care. Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll take this meeting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was nervous, sure. But because like I said, I just wanted to be sure that I was doing him proud. But otherwise it was like, well, okay, here we go. And then I was with them for maybe about a month. And then I booked my first job. And then actually I booked 3 that first month.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it's been that way ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's how she pivoted.
That's how you pivoted. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that so much that you were just like, well, I literally have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And because you went in with no expectations, you were like, okay. But again, I think that helps us down the path we're supposed to be on. Like you were supposed to be on this path the whole time. Like from the day that you were born, this was planned for you, but we can get in our own way. And I think in hindsight, it's like you were, like you said, you had no expectations. So you were like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. That's funny because also too, we go into a lot of time too, we go into auditions where we're like, oh my gosh, oh, I'm so grateful. Please don't go away. Like like that, the, chorus line, God, I need this job. I hope I get this job. Right.
Yes.
This sort of like, treading water in, what is it? Yeah. Like treading water, but feverishly, like the waters of gratitude. Right.
Yes.
As opposed to floating in gratitude, being like, I'm chill. This is great. You like me? Great. If not, okay. And this sort of, but this is what they talk a lot about too, is that sometimes they can see and they can, especially in voiceover, maybe hear, right? Not desperation, but they hear you trying to do what it is that you think that they want.
Bingo.
As opposed to you just doing you.
Doing
right?
what you do. Yeah.
In just what you do, which is all that they want. That again, but that's also that's a lesson I'm still learning. I still learn that. I still have to do that and practice that every time I'm in the booth, like I go, okay, I'm going to give myself a time limit. I am only going to maybe do this in 3 takes. I don't want to be here for 2.5 hours. You know what I mean? Trying to do take after take after take after take after take after take after take.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Because like I said, expectations, that's a funny thing. It is. But it's because we want it so badly. We love it so much. And that's also sometimes too, what we can kind of conflate with like, oh God, I'm so desperate. It's like, like I want this, please, as opposed to yes, more, please. I receive, like, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. And
And
also
I deserve,
knowing.
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. And also knowing and being like, I deserve to be here. I
Mm-hmm.
am worthy of also what it is I want in my life. I am worthy of my dreams. I am worthy of my passions. I'm worthy of my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am deserving of those things. Like that's
Yes.
also, those are things you have to constantly be practicing too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also remembering, like reminding yourself and literally like feeling it in your heart
Yeah.
that what's meant for me is meant for me. And
Mhm.
it's not going to pass me by. So it's that desperation. Oh, I need this job. I need this job. It's like, if it's meant for you, you will have it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. No questions asked. And even if you think, oh, I missed an opportunity, if it's yours, it'll come back around. Because I've had that where I'm like, dang, I missed. And it came right back around. I was like, oh, now I needed to, this was meant for me. So I think that's also part of it. Like, yes, believing in, I deserve to be here. I deserve my dreams. I deserve my passions. I deserve to live my purpose on this earth. But also, it's not going to pass me by.
Yeah.
If I am open to receiving, it's not going to pass me by. So I don't need to tread water feverishly. I just
Yeah.
need to be here.
Yeah. I just got to float. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. It's that Rumi quote, right? What's
Mhm.
seeking me, what I seek is also seeking
Freaking
me,
yes.
you know?
Yes.
And listen, like again, it's not easy
Mm-mm.
to we're saying all this, right? It's
Yeah.
not easy to put it into practice. Like again, it
No.
took me a long, long, long time. And again, and I still have to practice it every day. Every day.
Mhm.
I used to
Mhm.
think all the time, like, through many years of therapy,
Mhm.
like I used to think that I was always afraid of failure, that
Yeah.
failure was the thing that was like the boogeyman for me, right? That
Yeah.
I love this too much to fail at it would be too painful, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
instead, my therapist was like, I don't know if it's necessarily failure that you're afraid of. I think that you're more afraid of success. And I could not for the life of me understand that. I'd be like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Success, being successful is all that I want. That's
Yeah.
all that I want. But then what would that mean for me to be successful? You know what I mean? What would that
Mm.
mean for me? And after a lifetime also too of having limiting beliefs of
Mhm.
myself, right?
Mhm.
Not good enough. Yeah, like, yeah, when I was talking about even going back all the way to high school or even
Yeah.
before that, much younger years, but that's also for another podcast.
Yeah.
But like, but, but yeah, all my friends were going to big universities. Why couldn't
Mm.
I go? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or they were on this path and now this journey that then is like, quote unquote, like the traditional way that
Mhm.
why not me? And
Mhm.
then thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And so then being afraid of success, well, then, yeah, is it ultimately then do I feel like I really deserve it? Do I really feel
Mhm.
like I deserve to be successful? Do I really feel like I deserve to be worthy of my dreams? Like that is, and that's again, like that's hard to understand. And that's taken me a
Yeah.
long time to like
Yeah.
kind of get there, to be like, oh, that's actually what it was always all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do know what you mean because I kind of have the same thing even talking to my therapist. It was like, "No, I think I have a fear of success, actually, Ayana.
Yeah.
Like, let's break this down. Let's talk about this." And
Yeah.
also, because we talked about this, before we hit record about understanding what success means to us individually
Yeah.
and, like, not comparing because comparison is the death of joy. It
Yeah.
steals your joy. It steals the thing that was brought to you that was meant for you, but you're like, "Oh, I have this, but I actually want that." And you're like,
Yeah.
"But no. What's in your hand? What is
Yeah.
this is what's meant for you." So that comparison is unfortunately also taught to us. If you don't have this, then you're not successful. But by whose standards? Not my
Yeah.
standards. It's
Yeah.
questioning of like, wait a minute, who what have I built my success on or my
Yeah.
idea of success on? Someone else's standard? Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of crappy. Why did I do that?
And also, yeah, no, for sure. And then also too, when we think, okay, what would it mean to be successful for you? You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Okay. Or what would make you happy? Like if this were to happen. So that question that you
mhm,
said, like if I were to ask you today,
mhm,
what would be a successful goal? for you. And you would say, oh, well, booking a job on Succession or a lead on Succession or whatever it is, right? Okay. So then if you were to then think and imagine then when you're there, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at what's happening right now, right?
Yeah.
People who are striking and they go, I was on this successful show that was streaming and, making millions and millions of dollars and I could barely pay my rent. That is like, there's the dream and then there's the reality, right? There's the dream, there's the reality. And sometimes the dreams and the reality do not match. So when you get to that place where you think you're reaching for this external idea of like, once I get here, then my life will be made. Then I will be happy. Then I will feel fulfilled. And then when that doesn't happen, when you've got to go back to your bartending job the next day after you were just on set, you go, wait, I thought in my mind when I got there, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So that's why you cannot reverse engineer it. You have to start, you cannot search from the outside to fulfill the thing on the inside. You have to start from the inside and work your way out.
Yes.
And it's because, like I said, and that was something that, again, I didn't understand for a really long time. So that then when I was, okay, now I'm trained. Now I'm going to be booking all the jobs. Now I'm going to be ready to go. They're going to be offering me all the roles. You know what I mean? And then when that's not happening and there's just nothing but you.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? And what do you do with all then that's happening underneath all of that?
Right.
And man, and again, like I said, there was a lot of years. That I look back and sometimes I think or I'll slip and I'll say oh, I just wasted so much time, or I wasted so many years. I wasted so much time just, getting in my own way. You know what I mean? But no, again, what we were talking about before, it had to happen that way. It had to happen that way for me to really kind of fully come to terms and understand it. And honestly, it's better now than I could have imagined it. It's better now, honestly.
Right. And for you to appreciate, looking back, you're like, oh no, I had to go through that. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. The way it made me cry and scream and kick it. I wanted to punch a wall. But looking back, you're like, oh, it had to happen that way for you to be this version of yourself.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not easy. That's not easy at all.
No. And, and now, and also too, so I just started coaching. I'm just over the last few months, I just started coaching people one-on-one for voiceover, and there was a lot of resistance of me then being who am I? Who am I to be teaching people to be doing voiceover only because I've been doing this for such a short amount of time and all these things? What is, there are people who have been in this business for this many years. Why, they should be paying their money for people who really know what they're talking about. But then I have to think, but that was the thing, is that people were always coming to me all the time being like, hey, I'm interested in getting started in voiceover, maybe can I talk with you or whatever. And there was a reason. Somebody had to say to me, there's a reason why they're going to you and they're not going to those people who have been in the business for 30 years, because you're in it right now. They are you are experiencing the same thing that they are experiencing, so that then they can feel connected to be like, oh, so I'm not alone. Somebody also goes through the same struggle. Somebody also goes through the same mental gymnastics of all whatever. I'm right there in the trenches with you. You know what I mean? We're all, and that's also too why it's so important to, even like I said to you before, why you have this podcast, you know what I mean? To have community, of people, and to understand, look, we all go through this. We all go through these feelings, thoughts, emotions, struggles, successes, you know what I mean? We all go through them, but thank God we're not going through them alone,
Right.
But
that part.
But it can feel like it does. And it feels
100%.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it can feel like you're doing it alone, but you're not. Like, nope, none of us are doing it alone. None
Yeah.
of us. But
No.
it can feel like that sometimes. You're just like,
Right?
oh, I'm the only one who's did it. And you're like, no, you're not. You're not. But I do have a question for you. So do you think that when you made that pivot into voiceovers, that was like the beginning of you internalizing and like internally making your own pivot as well to like work on your limiting beliefs and work on like, no, I deserve to be here. Like, because voiceovers in essence were kind of handed to you. Like, it wasn't even something that you were
Yeah.
necessarily like, oh, I'm going to be a voiceover artist. You were just kind of like, your palms were open. Your
Yeah.
palms were open,
Yeah.
and God, universe, whoever people believe in, handed it to you.
Yeah.
It was like, here you go.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because it was preparing me
Mm-hmm.
and again, like I said, in a way that I didn't see or understand at the time.
Yeah.
You know, being behind a microphone almost, you know, I'd always also too, I loved theater. I also had
Mhm.
really had wanted to start also pivoting, transitioning into doing like television and film work.
Okay.
And I had a lot of bad experiences at the time, doing like on camera work, for numbers, again, for another podcast, but like, um, and, I had a lot of insecurity then about being on camera, but really I think deep down it was about then being seen. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And being vulnerable to be seen in a way that then,
Mhm.
yeah, being on camera as an actor, like you need all of that. You need to be seen, you need to be open, you need to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
I was so broken down by that time that then voiceover instead was like, well, it's kind of a way for me to be able to be like hide a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But in a way like but maybe this is like a cheesy metaphor, but really then like to kind of find my own voice,
Uh-huh.
like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was able to be behind the microphone, but my talent was able then to just like come through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And there was no, it was a way for me to be able to hide. And I could then use the microphone then to just sort of let myself
Mm.
go a little bit
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
build, like I said, and build that confidence in that way that then like the more it started to happen, like, or the more the work that I booked, then it was sort of almost like affirming. It was affirming. It was a little
Mhm.
reassuring than being like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, you're talented. Oh yeah. You wouldn't be getting these jobs for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not only they see you, they hear you,
Right.
you're being heard. And then eventually that will just only build and build and build for now and me to be able to like kind of step out of the booth and be like, okay, now I'm ready to be seen.
Mhm.
Now I'm ready to now go after the thing that I wanted to go after from the beginning. And I can
Yeah.
still do voiceover and I still enjoy doing voiceover. I still love it. It's fun,
Yeah.
most of the time when we're not sweating.
Right. 9
With our
times out of 10. It's great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But but I but now, yeah, I mean, like, does that answer the question? Like, was
Yes,
that
it does. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
It does answer the question. That it gave you that space to like, yes, you were hiding. Again, I'm putting that in air quotes. You were hiding, but you were not being seen and just being heard did
yeah,
help you find your voice,
yeah, yeah,
figuratively and literally.
yeah,
Like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I felt safe. Like that was a way for
Mhm.
me to feel safe,
Ooh,
you know,
yeah.
like, and by doing that again, like it just grew. Like it
Mhm.
grew with each job that I booked was like, oh, okay, oh, cool, all right. And then I was in a groove, and then I was in a momentum, and then it was in a flow, and then the
Mhm.
pandemic happened, which also, by the way, now this is also another cool thing too that we can talk about is that, again, at the time before pandemic, I was going out on these auditions. I was getting sent out. I
Yeah.
was going to a casting director and then, and then audition and then be on my merry way and then off
Yes.
I go, then about my day, right?
That was lovely. Those times were lovely.
Those
Not
were
gonna lie, 'cause
so
I didn't have to
nice.
edit my audition.
That's what I mean. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And then pandemic happened, and then everything shut down. And then you get then these emails after a few months from your agents. And then they say, well, looks like this is going to be kind of indefinite. So you're going to have to start doing this from home. My husband also, by the way, started working from home. And when I would record auditions, if I didn't go in for an audition, if I had to record those auditions from home, I didn't have a professional setup just yet. I, used the microphone that, he used to play like for his video games.
Yeah.
And I would record at his desk and he would help me edit.
Yeah.
Meaning he would do it for me. And then, and then I would send it in. But then when he started working from home and he had to use his desk for work, and then when those auditions then started to come in and I had to be recording them from home, and I would burst into the bedroom and I would be like, okay, you got to get off the computer. Like, cause I got to record this audition. He's like, I'm working.
Yeah.
Like you are now, there's a thing called YouTube and you're going to now have to learn how to do this on your own. Now, again, the theme being, I don't like change. I don't like doing things that I don't know how to do, because I immediately go back to Simone, little, being like, I'm not smart enough. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. I literally put my hands up and go, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. Please, please just let me then talk into the microphone. That's what I'm good at. Please. Yeah. And I had, again, just even being in voiceover, right? There's pivoting in voiceover. Now I have to learn how to be my own engineer. I got to be my own editor. I got to be my own. I had to now learn all of those things, on my own, and all for the better for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the better for it. Because now here we are 3 years later, and now we're still all doing this from home. And if I didn't learn how to do it, then again, maybe I'd be singing a different tune right now, because I mean, I do all of that now by myself, and I'm proud of myself that I learned how to do it. And again, it's proving to yourself like, oh no, you are capable, but you just got to like get over the first, like
the learning curve.
Yeah.
The limiting belief and the learning curve. Because learning something new is hard, especially with technology.
Yeah.
A what? A DAW? What is that?
I know.
I was like, what is, a digital audio works? Okay. What? Now I got to learn how to what? Who? Ha?
No, I know. He, like I said, he's a graphic designer. Yeah. So he knows how to do, he's the technical brains. He didn't marry me for my brains, I'll tell you that. So he's the one that knows how to do all that stuff. So he was always the one that could help me. I mean, listen, like I booked the jobs, but I always, there was a part of me that always felt like, oh, thank God he's there, that then like he can help me edit. Now, no, I had to, and he's like, no, sorry, don't got the time.
Right.
You got to do that you got to do it. And
exactly.
It's shape shifting, you know what I mean? Pivoting, whatever we want to call it. Like it's, man, like we are constantly having to evolve. And be malleable, I mean, like, but now I can coach people, and now I can say, hey, this is also what you got to do. And this is how you learn. And trust me, I know it sucks. Yeah. I was right there with you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Simone, thank you so much for sharing. Like,
Ayana, I love you so much. Ayana Major Bey, Ayana Major Bey, Ayana Major Bey. I will always say your name. Shout it from the rooftops. Full belt. I love you so much. I also, by the way, sorry, really quickly for listeners, Ayana, I love you. I really love you. I've always admired how, whether if you ever had those like limiting beliefs or whatever, like I never ever saw it from you from the day that I've met you. You have always been this most driven, passionate, talented woman that I always like so admired. When we graduated Montclair, remember we moved into that house, or you moved?
Yes.
There was me and 3 other roommates, and I think right before I moved in, you were taking my spot, right?
Yes.
And like I said, I was kind of in a time in my life, listeners, where after I graduated college, like I said, I didn't have that college experience where you all lived on campus and I didn't. And so then that year after college, it was almost kind of like my quote unquote party year, you know? And so I moved into this house then with 3-4 of our other friends, but Ayana was taking my spot before I could move in. And, you know, we all were just kind of like, I mean, we're having a good time. They were also too working and, you know, but we were just like, you know, around. But Ayana every morning would be like, she would be showered. She would be like working on her sheet music. She would be like, you were always on your game. You were always on point, and you were always, and I would be like, man, I was like, I am not that. And I wish I was, but I was like, I just always remember seeing you and just being like, this girl is like just on the pulse of like greatness. Like she is going to be huge. And I mean, look at you. Like, I mean, this podcast is incredible. You also are doing your thing with voiceover. She's traveling the world. I mean, it's saying you look exactly the same as you did in college. You're beautiful, talented. So I just truly like admire the heck out of you. Seriously.
Oh, Simone, thank you. I
You look like,
received that and I appreciate that. Thank
yeah,
you.
seriously. Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Even like I said, like you were on your game. Nobody could have told you anything. You were on it. And
I agree with that. Nobody could tell me nothing. I was
nobody,
going.
you were going. And yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, I want to go with you.
Take me with you, please.
But you just always like, and that's what I mean is that since college, I've seen you just like flourish. Like you've never stopped and you've never wavered, and you always have been true to yourself and who you are. And I love you. I love you so much. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I love you too. Thank you, Simone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I do have to, before I let you go, I got a couple of things.
Yes.
So, one, what would be your nugget of wisdom to anybody who's listening who wants to pivot, whether they're an artist or quite frankly, just a human, because you don't have to be an artist to pivot because it's just hard. But what would be your nugget of wisdom?
My nugget of wisdom. Follow your curiosity. If there's something that you always wanted to try, or if there's always something that you know, has piqued your interest that you go, oh, that would be cool to do or think, you know, go with that. I truly believe, you know, like, especially with actors, you know what I mean? Like there's a reason why we all have a love and desire and passion to do what we're doing. It's because it's, like I said, it's instinctual, it's visceral, and it's purposeful. It's because we're meant to. And if there's something that's in you that you've always wanted to do, you always wanted to do, and you can never not get it off your mind. It always keeps maybe kind of rolling back into your thoughts. Follow that, and just start examining it. Start, you know, tweaking it. Start picking at it. Start like, I don't know, just something like start digging and see where that will lead you. Because again, like I thought, oh, cool, voiceover. Yeah, I kind of always wanted to try that. And now here I am, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
follow your curiosity.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Follow your curiosity. Yeah, because it's in you for a reason. It wouldn't be put there if it wasn't meant for you to do. And also, I like what you said, if it keeps coming back. Because sometimes things keep coming back and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, fine, okay.
Yeah.
And then it comes back again. Wait, doesn't Oprah have a quote like that? So it's like, isn't it like, it's like a whisper? And then
I'm sure. Does Oprah have a quote for it? I'm sure she does.
Right. It goes from a whisper to like a brick in the head or something like, it's like a quote that she has. It's like 4 or 5 different, like a whisper, a yell, a knock, like a nudge, and then like a brick. It's like, hello, pay attention.
Truly. Yes. Pay attention. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, ooh, if we just like stopped for a second to sit with then what it is that, I mean, that's hard for us now, right? We can't not have our attention fixed on something, you know, because if we really were to sit with ourselves, man, and again, that's not easy work. Like you also have to be ready to do that. You have to be ready for that because, and again, like if you are also ready for change, you know what I mean? How bad do you want to feel good? You know what I mean? Like, you have to want that first, you know, and you have to want it for yourself first. Nobody else can convince you that. And there would be like, that's so many people would always just want to shake me and they'd be like, Simone, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you not this, and this. And it was almost as if I
Yeah.
was like sleepwalking. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Right. It wasn't meant for you yet. Like, yes, you're the people who loved you saw it, but you
Yeah.
weren't ready to receive it yet and ready to make change. And it
Yeah.
didn't happen until you were ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, next thing, where can people find you out here on the interwebs?
Yes. So you can go to my website, SimoneSerra.com. On there has all of my work. But then also, if you are ever interested in doing voiceover, starting your voiceover journey, curious about voiceover, reach out to me. I do private one-on-one coaching as well as start with consultation. And then we go from there. If you want to do one-on-one coaching, we do 6 weeks of just breaking down the fundamentals of voiceover. We work on copy, your breath work, and then learning about, the commerce, the business side of VO, all of that. So that's my website. And also, if you want to follow me on social media, it's Ms. Simone Serra. So MS Simone Serra, SERRA.
Yeah. Amazing. All of that will go in the show notes, everybody. So it's easy and clickable.
Yes.
And Simone, I must say to you that I acknowledge you, I celebrate you, and I uplift you.
Ditto. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I hope you have been informed and inspired by this week's episode. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes are out. To stay up to date and in the know about merchandise, exclusive content, and how to support the show, please subscribe to the newsletter at ayanabey.com/podcast. That's AYANABEY.com/podcast. And there's a link in the show notes. This show's executive producer is Ayana Major Bey, and editor is Kieran Niemand. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll speak to you soon.